How to define variables correctly for systems of equations word problems. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle without knowing what each piece represents. That's what happens if you don't define your variables properly in a word problem involving systems of equations. When you start a problem, the first step is to read it carefully. Read it more than once if needed to understand what quantities are unknown and how they relate to each other. Next, figure out what you need to find. These are your unknowns, and they will become your variables. For example, if the problem talks about the cost of tickets for adults and children, your variables could be A for the cost of an adult ticket and C for a child's ticket. If the problem involves distances and speeds, you might choose D for distance and S for speed. The key is to pick names that make sense and reminded you of what they stand for. Once you have your variables, define each one clearly. Write a sentence like, let A be the cost of one adult ticket, or let C representing the number of children attending. This step helps prevent confusion later when you write equations. It's important to be consistent. If you decide A is the cost of an adult ticket, always use A for that throughout the problem. Now, translate the story into equations using your variables. If the problem says, 2 adults and 3 children paid a total of $86, and you defined A as the cost of one adult ticket and C as the cost of one child's ticket, you write the equation as 2A plus 3 degrees Celsius is equal to 86. If another statement says, 3 adults and 4 children paid $122, you write 3A plus 4 degrees Celsius is equal to 122. These two equations form a system you can solve. Make sure the number of variables matches the number of equations. If you have 2 unknowns, you need at least 2 equations to find a unique solution. Also, keep units in mind. If your problem involves dollars, make sure your variables reflected that, so your answers make sense in the context. By following these steps, you set a solid foundation for solving systems of equations. Properly defining your variables turns a confusing story into a clear mathematical model. This makes solving word problems much easier and helps you understand what the problem is really asking. Remember, clear variable definitions are the first step to solving any system of equations problem successfully.